Well, the reason it's helpful, I think, is because when it comes to foreign policy, this goes to sort of a root issue about foreign policy that's rather interesting to discuss, and that is the belief that when the United States draws away from American allies, when the United States draws significant distance with American allies, particularly in regions of the
drawing
world,
away from American allies, that's Trump that did that. He's the one that says NATO's a bad idea and us being allies and having an internationalist foreign policy is a bad thing.
To be fair, the actual policy of President Trump, which was to actually increase the amount of funding from each NATO nation into NATO.
No, that was Obama.
No,
that was Obama in 2014.
That was
okay. It was.
They increased the amount of defense
Trump
spending
ran on
under
that
NATO.
issue.
Yes, and that was what. And that's
but Obama's the one
were,
where the policy was actually implemented.
Well, no, the policy was also
about the 2% goal.
The increase happened.
And
under
on
President
top
Trump.
of that, NATO expanded under Biden. So
NATO expanded under Biden as a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It didn't expand under Biden preemptive to the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
No, I'm not arguing that. But I'm saying if the question is who has been more dedicated to our system of alliances overseas, it's clearly the Democratic Party.
I mean, that is clearly not true. If you're talking about what has effectually made American allies stronger, the answer would not be the policies of the Biden administration. I mean, if we want to talk Ukraine, we can. We can talk about the slow walking of aid to Ukraine throughout the Ukraine war. I'm a big advocate of the idea that the United States actually should have pursued a policy of rushing more aid into Ukraine and then pursuing an off-ramp as soon as possible, sort of Henry Kissinger's suggested policy early on in the war. But if you're talking about...
So then we would agree that it's a mistake for Republican congressional officials in Congress to cut aid to Ukraine. Okay.
Yes. When it comes to the Israel-Gaza war, the Israel-Hamas war, which is what this led off with.
Yeah.
Again, my contention is that the timing was driven specifically by a desperate hope by Hamas and Iran to break the burgeoning Saudi-Israeli and Sunni-Israeli alliance that was happening in the Middle East. And the best way they could see to do that was to launch an attack to bring up the issue that had largely been sidelined by the Abraham Accords, because it turns out that a great way to make a deal between countries that disagree on issue A is to make a deal on issues B, C, and D.
But that presumes that the Sunni-American alliance against the Shia Iranian-backed alliance only started under Trump, and that's just clearly not true. We've been aligned with Sunni-led governments for at least the last 50 years.
The realignment of the Middle East under President Obama.
The alliance with Saudi Arabia goes back to World War II.
I mean, of course, that's true. It's also true that Barack Obama's distancing from Saudi Arabia in favor of, for example, the JCPOA, which Saudi opposed, so did the Israelis, so the Bahrainis, so did all the countries of the Abraham Accords. And then the return to that ideology under Joe Biden exacerbated potential conflict in the Middle East.
I don't agree with that, but if anybody else wants to go, we don't have a lot of time.